the hidden part about psychology that's damaging your physical health. Now, I'll start with an example which relates to wealth. And that is, when one has fear, one has fear. And whether you're broke or abundantly wealthy, that fear is still the same. Now, when you're broke, that fear may make itself known in the form of, something like, well, what if I stay broke? What are people going to think of me? What is it like to live a life with no status, no respect, right? So that's fear. And then when you're wealthy, if the fear is still there, it'll make itself known just in a different form. Maybe something like, what happens if I lose my money? Who will I be if I lose my money? What if people just, try to manipulate me for my wealth? That's still fear. And it may seem a little different or quote unquote better, but it's still fear. And therefore the pain is still the same. And how does this damage your physical health, right? What's the bridge between the hook and everything I've just said? The bridge is that when you're psychologically living in fear, living in any emotion, anger, pleasure, the moment that you say or that anyone says that they're happy, they're no longer happy. And that is because it's the moment that the sense of self needs to label something, that the sense of self comes into the fold and you lose the pure joy of not being stuck in your sense of self. So when we look at this, how does it bridge to your physical health? Well, we're talking about energy at the core, right? A frequency of vibration, which is beyond words. It can just be felt, it can be heard, it can be observed. No one needs to convince you. No one needs to tell you. You can just feel that there is a certain essence behind energy. And energy is your tone of voice. Energy is your body language. Energy is your thoughts or the lack of thoughts. The calm, soothing, unoccupied mind, which is so alive that it just observes. Now, when we waste our energy by living in fear, anger, sadness, depression, euphoria, joy, when we are stuck in the sand, the mud, the quicksand of the ego, when we are stuck in that place, we are directing our energy in a certain way, okay? That's just what's actual. That's the bottom line. That's the fact. That energy is continuously being directed in a certain manner. And as we become more aware of the essence behind what we're radiating, then we become more precise and we realize, wait, broke or wealthy, if your mind is this unaware, mechanical, dull mind, you're going to fall into thought, and that thought and emotions going to cycle off of each other, and then you'll go through that normal hamster wheel of living in the ego and being trapped. But as you start to direct your energy more intentionally, more intelligently, wisely, with accuracy and precision, then you start to have a little bit more energy and that builds up. And as you start to learn about yourself, you learn about the nature of energy. And then you start to realize what you are, and that there's a constant movement, and that the only constant is that change of that movement. And that is your reactions, your program, your sense of self, which comes and communicates in the vehicle of thought and emotion. And now it's beautiful because we can step back. We can start directing our energy more wisely, noticing that You see, when we're trapped in the mud of the ego, the thought and emotion, there really are hamster wheel-like cycles and sequences. So mechanical, so basic, so dull. But what makes it hard is that the dullness, the mechanical nature of the ego's cycles, the ego gets so excited because the content, the specifics of the structure seem exciting. But if one will just allow for their energy to be directed precisely, then you'll see how clearly these structures are repeated, how clearly the themes and the patterns make themselves known. And when you see that, you don't need to deal or meddle with or get trapped by the excitement in relation to different content. Because whether it's sunny or rainy, or Joe did something or Sarah said something, the structure's all the same. There are some things you can't change, right? And, well, there are some things you can't change. So, when we zoom out of the content, and we see clearly that there are structures, and we start to simplify the game we're playing, right? Because this comes down to our reactions, really. Our reactions, which go in tandem, which kind of play ping pong with our emotions and our thoughts, our egotistical living. So we have our reactions, our emotions, and our thoughts. And then we have on the other end, we have our energy and precision and alignment and abundance and truly seeing scarcity. So, right, you don't need to deal with what Joe said, what Sarah said, but you can deal with the structure of what's scarcity, what's alignment, what's abundance, what does it mean to direct energy in a certain way, you know? And practically, this can be, okay, if you watch yourself, if you really watch yourself while you're talking trash, right? Which is your own confusion radiating. You're talking trash because you may be angry about something that someone did to you. But the fact is that you did that to yourself because you're compounding your own reaction. Your reaction is where the pain and suffering is born. And then by choosing to talk about it, see, you're going on the surface because you're entertaining yourself by talking about what frustrated you, therefore compounding your own pain and doing that via directing your energy without precision. To direct your energy precisely in this situation would be so much more like to understand the structure. And rather than shallowly talking about what happened to you, actually going into the structure of your reactions. Why is it that that thing ended up frustrating you so much? What is it within you which allowed that frustration to compound and become something where you didn't observe or hear it or listen to it and actually learn, but you chose to take the short-term easy way out, which is the long-term painful way. And that's just brushing over it shallowly and choosing to talk about it. See, when you talk about something, that's so different from inquiring into something, okay? And the only reason I can share what I'm sharing here is because we're inquiring into something. You know, maybe some people could use the phrase that I'm speaking on a certain topic. I'm talking about things. But if we use precision here, I'm deeply inquiring into things. I'm not brushing the surface. If I was brushing the surface, it would be much easier for you to just blindly listen to what I'm saying. But you'll never learn unless you actually listen to what I'm saying. Why? Because I'm actually inquiring into things. I'm not brushing the surface. So, you know, all this being said, this is your life, and your psychology affects your material world. Your psychology affects your physical body, right? One little tip, not even a tip, this is not advice, but such a practical example, which is, right, I played football for many years. I do jiu-jitsu now. I've been weightlifting since I was like 15, 16, 25 right now. Point is, there's been a lot of opportunity for my body to be tweaked. A lot of opportunity for me to potentially be quote unquote injured. Yeah? And I've had things. I've fractured bones, and if you have this nose thing, it's messed up. I have a scar right here. You might not be able to see from the lighting, but I wonder if I could change. I digress. The bottom line is, I'm starting to get the cauliflower ear right here. The point is, with quote unquote injury, there's a couple of valuable distinctions. And it's all founded upon being precise, directing energy in a certain way. And to allow yourself to heal faster. Now, don't believe me. Do not believe me. But if you're fascinated by what is coming out of my mouth, maybe execute on it and give it a shot. Maybe play around with it and try it. So here, rather than ever labeling myself injured, I will continuously say that I have a tweak. Well, and don't lie, right? If you broke your leg, you broke your leg. But often all of ligaments or joints or muscles get little tweaks where something won't feel 100%, but it won't feel 0%. I'm still able to move, but something definitely is communicating with me. Part of my muscle, part of my body, my ligaments, my joints. And if it's just a tweak, I'll label it a tweak. And immediately, I won't ever say I'm injured, but I'll say, well, I'm recovering. This thing got tweaked. Talk about it gently, loosely. And then I'll fully, 100% prioritize recovery. Even more stretching, more walking. The energy behind the language matters. Because if you're not precise, and maybe you strained your hip, or you twisted your ankle, and it's a minor thing. But if you label that, oh yeah, I hurt my ankle. Oh, my hip's in pain. Or are you healing and recovering? Did you just tweak your hip and it's healing and recovering and you'll be good? It's a different energy, but guess what? Your body hears that energy. The plants, the animals around you, they do not so much. The words you use matter, but the tone of voice matters too. When you will say something like, this plant's abundant, you're beautiful, tell the plant that. Don't believe me, but you can feel it. The plant reciprocates. We are energy and everything's contagious. Life is more alive than our egos tend to see. We'll say a rock isn't alive. We'll say animals are just animals. But everything is so much more real than we could ever imagine. And when you become more precise, you get rid of, you negate, right? It's never about chasing abundance, pursuing alignment. How do I become like Justin? Yes, I know you're wondering that. But really, no. It's more about just observing your movement and realizing how unnecessary 97% of our emotion thinking is. And then when we simplify our lives, we direct our energy in a more precise way. We have more accuracy, we're more alive, we're more vital. And that vitality leads to abundance and alignment. And then, the only constant is change, and the nature of truly being alive is that change is not predictable. And that's what makes life fun, worthwhile, truly worth living, is that you can see the contrast. Because for you to ever get to the place in which I'm speaking of here, that place does require for you to so obviously see the contrast, to so clearly realize that there's no option anymore. That it's time to live aligned. It's time to live abundantly. That scarcity has no place in your life. That self-conscious thought or emotion, it's not for you. It's not aligned with what you are. and to direct that energy clearly and precisely, to learn about what you are, and to really see what behavior is. And that behavior, which is accurate and aligned, will allow for real relationship, for you and I to meet at the same place, the same level, the same energy, the same vibration. And when that happens, we learn. We create the space for learning. And that's dearly what humanity needs right now, is to learn about what we are and to absolutely revolutionize our psychology, our energy, and how we live. So, if that was helpful, maybe it was, maybe it was. You know, I got my newsletter description below, totally free. I'm writing probably 4 days a week right now, and 4 or 5 days a week. You'll also get a free masterclass, a 4-part video series. And, you know, all bonuses, all discounts, all offers, you'll see it first on the newsletter. So if you enjoy this, I can guarantee you'll like the newsletter. Subscribe for free below. And, you know, if you're on YouTube, let me know what you enjoyed. Drop a like. If you're on the podcast, a rating, review, share it with a friend. Thank you. Sincerely. Have a wonderful day. Let's go.